I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Phantaram, future of MMORPGs is either Ashes of Creation or the Riot MMO. Like, there's really nothing else. Those are the big ones, right? And I'd say, did you not look at the thumbnail of my video? You see, the future is not Ashes. It's not the Riot MMO, but another secret third thing. You see, I think MMOs are in the Stone Age, while genres like FPS and isometric RPGs and MOBAs, isometric RPGs and MOBAs being its own category, are in the Space Age. So to me, Ashes of Creation and the Riot MMO, if they succeed, are going to be like Halo 2 and Halo 3, which were great additions to the genre, but ultimately get left behind. So how did these other genres get to the Space Age while MMOs got left behind? While there's some obvious factors like development time and huge costs and running servers and all these other small things, I think there's one thing that dwarfs all the other reasons, and that is user-generated content. So before I get into that, let's go back to the genres that are in the Space Age. And I'm sure you'll see where I'm going with this, but just let me finish. So in the FPS genre, we have Battle Royales. Battle Royales as a game type started in Minecraft and Arma 2 as player mods. The Arma 2 player mod was called Daisy, I believe. And as the popularity rose, the mainstream developers saw that those games were popping off and decided, hey, let's make our own. So we got Call of Duty Warzone, Fortnite, Apex Legends, PUBG, all those kind of games. And those are all obviously still extremely popular. Then we have tactical shooters. Counter-Strike originally started as a mod of Half-Life, and then Valve acquired the intellectual rights to it, made it a standalone product, made more versions of Counter-Strike until today we have Counter-Strike Global Offensive. And later, Riot was confident enough to compete with Counter-Strike and developed Valorant. Both of these genres, obviously battle royales and tactical shooters, still extremely popular. And third, we have hero shooters. Team Fortress was a mod of Quake, and some of those developers joined Valve, did the same exact thing they did with Counter-Strike. And Team Fortress 2 is a clear inspiration for Overwatch, and both of those games still remain very popular. And so for the isometric RPG and MOBA category, we start with Dota Auto Chess, which is actually a pretty recent genre that has emerged, but it actually started in Warcraft 3 as a mod called Pokemon Defense. But it wasn't popularized until Dota 2, where the mod Dota Auto Chess came out. And then mainstream developers, like all the other genres, took advantage of this idea and came out with their own games. And I think Teamfight Tactics is the most popular now. Not 100% sure about that, but I think so. And the next category, which I consider the king of them all, probably along with tactical shooters, I suppose, but I think this is the best example, is MOBAs. MOBAs actually started as a StarCraft mod called Aeons of Strife, but later was popularized as the Warcraft 3 mod called Dota All-Stars. Riot is actually some of the original Dota All-Stars developers. That's how the company started. And they made League of Legends, and then Valve made Dota 2. So as you can see, Valve particularly has really taken advantage of these player mods. They see a great idea, and then they make that idea into a better game as a AAA developer. So this is the kind of user-generated content I'm talking about. And as you can tell, the player mods were the source of the idea, and then the mainstream developers with years of their developing skills optimize the idea and make it the best they can. And they're all very popular games today. So I think user-generated content is the single greatest engine for producing video games. And MMOs don't have user-generated content. But why do I think it is the single greatest engine? Well, let's take a look at Warcraft 3 in particular, and probably these other genres did it too. When developers are making a game, they don't just program it from the ground up. First, they make these tools that are basically gigantic shortcuts where you won't have to program anymore. You just click and do shortcuts on your keyboard and make the game from there. So obviously, at that point, anybody that can become familiar with this tool could make a game. And that's what happened. So when they released Warcraft 3, we're done with this engine. What do we do with all these developer tools we have? They just released it with the game and gave it to everyone. So suddenly, these tools that were used by probably a few hundred developers were just released to millions of people, And all these people don't have any development experience, any programming knowledge, but they can make video games. And this was absolutely massive. So, in my opinion, game developers, they're going to be better at developing games and creating ideas. Probably. They have years of experience. But a few thousand developers is just not going to compete with millions of users trying to make video games. Obviously, these users don't make the most optimized games, but one of their ideas will pop off and mainstream developers will see that and then make the best version of that. And again, this is why MMORPGs are in the Stone Age. MMOs and really 3D RPGs don't have these developer tools at our disposal. So we're crawling along back here in the Stone Age while these other genres are already up in the Space Age because they have the developer tools to create user-generated content. They're popping ideas off everywhere while we're like, maybe 5 years later we'll see another MMO and we'll get some ideas. Like, it's just, we're in the Stone Age. So obviously developers need to find a way to monetize this in a way. Like, let's say for a second Blizzard sold the ability to host servers and they sold their developer tools. You know, somebody would buy a server, buy the developer tools, and it would only be a matter of time until one of these player mods in World of Warcraft was more popular than the Blizzard game itself, World of Warcraft. Like it would just eclipse it, and then all the MMO developers would see this idea and make the best MMO from that idea. So yeah, you might be asking, why did you make this video? Well, I've had this idea in my head for like 5 years, so at least I can just say I made it, but on the off chance that a certain balding Twitch streamer watches this video and gives it hundreds of thousands of views, maybe it'll reach some mainstream developer ears and they can sell their developer tools. That's my hope. So, hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you later.